Hey there, John Morris here, johnmorrisonline.com. Welcome back to another episode of the John Morris Show. So today we're going to get into some weird sort of stuff, but I got this question or this comment on YouTube, and it's really fitting with sort of how I'm feeling today. So I wanted to go through this. Before I do want to, I posted a poll over on the community tab here on YouTube. If you're not familiar with that, you can just go to my channel and then click on the community tab and you'll see sort of a list of different things I've posted there. But I posted a poll over there that I'd really like for you to answer. It's going to sort of affect some of the upcoming stuff that I'm doing. So if you could head on over to the community tab and vote in that poll and then leave me your comment as well. A little hint, it has to do with live streaming. So again, head on over and do that. But here is the comment that I got. And so the comment says, "My problem is I suffer with anxiety and depression, and during those times that I despair with the code and want to give up. I don't know if it's just the depression talking. It creates a lazy attitude that makes you want to do other easy things like watch Netflix. I'm not sure if that is me, that doesn't want to learn to code, or I just need more discipline. Depression confuses things, but I need to do something, so I keep persevering." And like I said, this sort of fits with kind of how I'm feeling today. To be honest with you, I woke up at 4 a.m. this morning. For some reason, couldn't go back to sleep, started thinking about things and laid there for 2 hours trying to go back to sleep. And by the time, I realized and accepted that I wasn't going to be able to go back to sleep, I was frustrated as hell. And to be honest, I didn't want to do this video today or this podcast today. I really didn't want to do anything today when I first woke up this morning. And I sort of have this melodramatic mind when I'm sick or when this sort of thing happens. My mind goes a little crazy. I start sort of questioning everything. I tend to focus on my childhood and how bad things got when I was 8 years old after my dad's car wreck and having to sort of fight and claw for everything and just being sort of tired. Some days I just feel tired. Like, I've never caught a break. I'm never going to catch a break. I'm always going to have to fight for everything that I get. And sometimes it just wears you down, right? And I'm sure some of you have probably felt this way at points in your lives as well. And so, again, we all sort of go through it, and it happens. But for me, what happens is I then see my two little boys, and it sort of changes everything. And they're about the same age that my dad was when we were in the car wreck. And, I could never imagine purposefully choosing to put them through the same thing that I had to go through. My dad didn't purposely choose. It was a car accident. But I'm saying I could never purposefully choose to give up and put them through that. And that sort of changes everything for me. And that's sort of the first point that I want to make here is that when it comes to all of this, you need some sort of deeper motivator, right? You need something that you can reliably go to relight that flame. Now, for me, it's my children. When I see them and I put that in the context of how I grew up, I'll never put them through that. When they leave the house, maybe then I'll go live in a refrigerator box on the side of the street. But until that day, till they're grown up and can function on their own, I'll never, that's my motivator. So you need some sort of motivator for that. And it doesn't have to be kids, right? It could be anything. It could be an idea. It could be something you believe in, some sort of principle, or it could be a loved one, or it could be a group of people that you care about that you want to help, or whatever it is. But you need something. And the point is, until you really find that thing, you're going to struggle with this idea of sort of depression and laziness and feeling those sort of emotions and so forth. But once you have that motivator, it sort of just cuts all of that through. So I think the answer in part is not necessarily trying to deal with the oppression or tackle the symptom, but find the cure. And the cure is having something that you care about more than yourself, that motivates you more than anything that you could kind of get out of yourself. And when you find that, then this all gets a heck of a lot easier. So like I said, again, for me, that's my boys. For you, that could be whatever it is, but that's the first thing that you need to find. So that would be my biggest suggestion out of all this. Now, by the way, if you're listening to this episode and watching these videos and you're getting value out of them, then I do want to encourage you to become and directly ask you to become a supporter of the show over on Patreon. You'll be helping me to continue to do this and put out this information for people out there. But also, you're going to get access to a ton of perks, get access to all my past and future courses, my PHP programming courses, object-oriented programming, Upwork, all sorts of different stuff that's over there that you can get. My WordPress plugin course, all that. You'll get access to all of those courses and anything I create in the future. You can learn more about that at johnmorrisonline.com/Patreon. It's one simple plan, $10 a month, and you get access to everything. If you're not in the financial position to do that, then I would appreciate if you'd share my free tutorial site, johnsfreetoots.com. Got a bunch of free tutorials over there. That'll help anybody that's sort of going through the programming thing. If you'd share that with somebody that you know who could benefit from those courses, I'd appreciate that. Again, that's johnsfreetoots.com. All right, so the second point that I wanted to make here is beyond having a motivator, you need some sort of outlet. So for me, this podcast is part of that. Getting on here and talking with you guys and having this back and forth. If you'll notice, a lot of the videos, especially when they're first released, if you guys leave a comment, I get back to you pretty much right away. And if you comment back, I kind of go back and forth with you. And the reason is because a lot of the reason why I do this is because I want that discussion. I want that back and forth. It's an outlet for me talking to people in that way. So you need to have some sort of outlet in that sense. My little brother is another example of that. I mean, last night, we had some long, obscure conversation about some random political thing last night. And him and I do that all the time. We'll get on Facebook and text back and forth these long texts. And him and I generally agree. So we really don't, it's not really arguments. We just sort of go back and forth, and he's really good at making me think about things that I don't necessarily immediately think about, and I think vice versa and so forth. And so I have this outlet of someone that I can talk to about whatever, and I know I'm sort of in a safe space, so to speak, where I can say whatever, and he's not going to be the type of person that's just going to like freak out and go crazy. And I sort of try to be that for him as well. So that's an outlet for me. I really think that you need something like that, or a person in your life like that you can go to. And you really need to facilitate and sort of honor that relationship so that they feel as safe with you as you do with them, so you can really create that back and forth. I think that makes a huge difference, just having someone that you can talk to like that. So that's the second point I would make, is that I feel like you need some sort of outlet where you can talk about this stuff. And the final thing then is, when it comes to actually sort of getting out of it and starting to be productive, so to speak, really all you need is to focus on the first step. And this is something that I learned when I've talked about how I took on way too much work, and I started feeling overwhelmed, and procrastination became this huge thing for me that I had to deal with. And I sort of learned this through all of that. And what I learned is to ask myself, what can I get done in 5 minutes? Right? Because if you try to look at the whole project and everything that you need to get done in a particular day, that can be really overwhelming, and it can sort of feed this desire for procrastination and feeling lazy and not wanting to do anything. But if you ask yourself the question, what can I get done in the next 5 minutes? What happens is your mind sort of starts to think about all these little small things, and it's like, well, that's easy, I can do that. And generally what happens is, once you do that one thing, it sort of gets you going, and next thing you know, you're doing another and another and another, and you've got 5 or 6 things done, and you didn't really set out to do that. And so oftentimes it's just taking that first step, just doing one simple thing, and that'll sort of get you going. And I bring this up in relation to sort of anxiety and depression and mental health, because I think that one of the best things that you can do when it comes to all of that and feeling down and just feeling like crap is to be productive. We feel good when we're productive and when we get something done. And so just simply going and doing things and getting something done can be a real big way to help sort of draw you out of that, and focusing on the what can I get done in 5 minutes thing is a really good way to just get started with that. So those are the 3 things that I would sort of give as advice. Those aren't necessarily everything, but having a powerful motivator that sort of helps you relight that flame and rekindle that flame. Having an outlet, having someone you can talk to about this in sort of a safe way where you can talk to them about anything. And then also just taking that first step. What can I get done in the next 5 minutes? I think if you do those 3 things, that'll really help in terms of not feeling so lazy and not feeling so crappy and so forth. Now, the other thing that might help you is I have a course called the No BS Guide to Get Things Done. And this really isn't sort of your typical like productivity course. It's sort of kind of positioned that way, but it's not really what you would see standard in that sort of industry, because I think one of the things that a lot of sort of productivity courses and people that talk about this stuff miss or don't really talk about is understanding that procrastination and that feeling of laziness and so forth is an emotional problem. And a lot of times what they try to do is logic you out of that. And you can't really logic your way out of an emotional problem. And so what I really try to do in that course is tackle the internal emotional stuff like fear and guilt and doubt and anxiety and all of that leads to procrastination and that feeling of laziness. And there's a simple daily routine that I do. It takes about 5 minutes, and it helps me get really, really focused, helps me get really, really clear on the things that I want to do for that day, and helps me to be really productive in tackling the things that are most important to me in a given day, and helps me stay on track and sort of not fall into that feeling and so forth as much as possible. So anyway, if you want to check out that course, you can go to johnmorrisonline.com/nobs. I'll put a link in the description. If you're on YouTube, I'll put it in the button and all of that sort of thing. But I know a lot of people are sort of averse to sort of, things like this and so forth, but I really do think it will help. I made it for a reason. And I think it's probably one of the more important courses that I've ever made, even though it's sort of a small, like 6-lesson course or whatever. But it's what I've done for years to help keep me out of that funk as much as possible. And to be honest, it's why I'm sitting here even doing this video today when I really didn't feel like doing it. So again, johnmorrisonline.com/nobs. Give it a sincere look. I know it's easy to be like, oh, just pitching this, that, the other, whatever. But I really, truly believe it'll help you. And so that's why I'm bringing it up. All right, that'll do it for the episode today. Again, thanks for watching. If you liked the episode, be sure to hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't. If you're on YouTube, be sure to hit that bell so you get notified when I release new videos. Also, if you want links to past episodes, links to subscribe on the audio version of the podcast so you can listen in your car while you're running. Heck, even maybe while you're sleeping. Maybe I can help put you to bed at night. You can find all that at johnmorrisshow.com. And finally, if you'll rate and review the podcast over on iTunes, then I will give you Module 1 of my PHP 101 course for free. Again, all the details on that you can find at johnmorrisshow.com. Just click on the Start Here link at the top. All right, thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next time.